Hello, my name is Jared Downing, and today I'll be telling you a story about community cleanliness. We have all had experiences with regards to litter and trash in our communities, and in that way, it is something we can all relate to. I have studied this topic for many months now, and I will explain to you what community cleanliness is through the story. This is not difficult to understand what trash and litter is. It's trash. But the difficult thing is to understand how we have polluted the environment through our lack of community cleanliness. Through this story, I will explain to you the truth behind pollution. Now, let's do this. Oh boy. All I see is the people. Once in a land not far from here, there was a woman named Ruth Bloom who sought after truth. The truth of why Litter Hill became so despondent. How can such a place that was once loved so much now look so unloved? The answer to this question must be solved, and so begins the journey to truth. The journey of our heroine Ruth Bloom will make the climb to the top of the mountain that sits above Litter Hill and discover the how and why the town became Litter Hill. The town is well deserving of its title, for in it lay so much clutter, pollution, and litter. The town had not always been this way, for it used to be known as Mount Reverence. In its first year, it was a place of communal prosperity. People traveled near and far to settle in the most desired communal town the world had ever known. The people loved the town and prized it as their own personal belonging. In their minds, it was their own property, for no one else could use it. The more people crammed in the city, the more the people used up the joy they found in their town. Then one day, on its 10th year anniversary, something happened. The town was changing. The glistening buildings had been etched with hateful words and gloomy depictions of dark symbols. The paved sidewalks that once beamed with magnificence now lay heavy and weighed down with pollution and litter. The smell of a wet, left out, crinkled, stained, shriveled, wrinkled, gagged, used until completely exhausted, moist sock filled the town with an air so thick you could not see 10 feet in front of you. Ruth Bloom had just made her way through the blinding fog and into the town. Ruth noticed that the names of the townspeople had been written on the gates, going all the way back to when the town was first established all those years ago. Ruth scoffed at the finding and headed inward toward the center of the town. Her gaze widened as she entered. A look through her eyes will emote great surprise. I've never witnessed such a sight, no sign in the sky of a shining light. My eyes open wide. Can no one see the filth by the wayside? The figures etched on the steeple, I can't make out if those are walls or people. What can it be, a disordered look of society? Speaking of looks, I try not to judge, but the people there look like the freaking Grudge. Wrinkles on their hands and feet emit all over the sidewalk and street. Their eyes peer harder than my own. They are focused and in the zone, each valuing the things that are theirs, but the things of others no one cares. The things that are theirs they keep tidy and neat, but the things for others to use now lie on the street. I turn my gaze, it's too much to bear. I must get to the mountain, for the truth must be up there. The cloud covered the town, but peering through the top of the cloud was the hill. Mount Reverence was famous for its awesome hill. Not only can you see the entire town, but from the top of the hill, you can see the truth of the town. Now all that can be seen is the clutter that raptures from the top of its peak. Rumors have circulated that the cause of the pollution had come from the top of the hill, but no one can say how or why. Perhaps the truth of the downfall of Reverence Hill is up at the top. Ruth reaches the base of the town and looks up at its steep incline. The incline does not surprise her, but what does is the jagged pieces of garbage piercing through the top of the mountain. As Ruth approaches the hill, she barely notices a dilapidated sign that says, "Only the one who perseveres will make it to the top." Ruth's pace quickened. On all fours, Ruth scrambled up the sharpened peak with thoughts racing. I must get to the top. I will not stop. I will not stop my discarded waste. It only makes me quicken my pace. Through the cuts and bruises my strength will show. Up the hill I must go. Up the hill is truth I must know. The sound of squeezing, winces of trash bags wheezing. Legs slip into scuttle, flesh and bone meet metal. Quickened pace turns into a scramble. How much more of this can she handle? Wrenching, clasping, clutching, slipping, turning, grasping. Get to the top, she must reach the peak. Resist the pain, Ruth. Remember, it is the truth you seek. Breathe. Just breathe. Now. Reach out and do not stop. Breathe. You must reach the top. Panting, Ruth slowly makes her way up to the top of the hill. The mountain will finally show her the cause of the litter and the polluted nature of Litter Hill. Ruth glances over the peak as the fog slowly reveals the town. But before she can look at it, to her right, Ruth notices a man with a bag throwing things out of it. He's taking the filth he owned out of the bag and throwing it down Litter Hill. Ruth turned her gaze back towards the town, but to her shock, she does not see the buildings, the streets, or any of the sidewalks. Ruth whispered, "All I see are the people." By the end of the story, it is made clear that the reason we have pollution in our society is because of people. Through this story, I've illustrated how people have their lack of reverence of the things that are not theirs. As a result, there is heavy pollution in our community. But you can make a difference. Be responsible, be reverent, and recycle. Thank you all so much for listening. My name is Jared Downing, and have a wonderful night.
Once in a land not far from here, there was a woman named Ruth Bloom who sought after truth. The truth of why Litter Hill became so despondent. How can such a place that was once loved so much now look so unloved? The answer to this question must be solved, and so begins the journey to truth, the journey of our hero. Ruth Bloom will make the climb to the top of the mountain that sits above Litter Hill and discover the how and the why the town became Litter Hill. The town is well deserving of its title, for in it lay so much clutter, pollution, and litter. The town had not always been this way, for it used to be known as Mount Reverence. In its first year, it was a place of communal prosperity. People traveled near and far to settle in the most desired communal town the world had ever known. The people loved the town and prized it as their own personal belonging. In their minds, it was their own property, and for no one else could use it. The more people crammed in the city, the more people used to use the joy they found in their town as a possession. Then, one day on its 10th year anniversary, something happened. The town was changing. The glistening buildings had been etched with hateful words and gloomy depictions of dark symbols. The paved sidewalk that had once been beamed with magnificence now lay heavy, being weighed down with the pollution and litter. The smell of a wet, left out, crinkled, stained, shriveled, wrinkled, gagged, and completely exhausted, moist sock filled the town with an air so thick you could not see 10 feet in front of you. Ruth Bloom had just made her way into the blinding fog and into the town. Ruth had noticed that the names of the townspeople had been written on the gates, going all the way back to when it was established all those years ago. Ruth scoffed at the finding and headed inward toward the center of the town. Her gaze widened as she entered the town. A look through her eyes will emote great surprise. I had never witnessed such a sight. No sign on the sky of a shining light. My eyes opened so wide, no one can see the filth by the wayside. The figures etched into the steeple, I can't make out if those are walls or people. What can it be? A distorted look of society? Speaking of looks, I try not to judge, but the people here look like the grudge. The wrinkles on their hands and feet emit all over the sidewalks and street. Their eyes peer harder than my own. They are focused and in the zone, each valuing the things that are theirs, but the things of others, no one cares. The things that are theirs they keep tidy and neat, but the things for others to use lie now on the street. I turn my gaze, it's too much to bear. I must get to the mountain, for the truth must be up there. The cloud covered the town, and peering through the top of the cloud was the hill, Mount Reverence. It was famous for its awesome hill. Not only can you see the entire town, but from the top of the hill, you can see the truth of the town. Now, all that can be seen is a clutter that ruptures from the top of its peak. Rumors have circulated that the cause of the pollution had come from the top of the hill, but no one can say how or why. Perhaps the truth behind the behind the downfall of Mount Reverence is up at the top. Ruth reached in the base of the mountain and looked up at the steep incline. The incline did not surprise her, but what did is the jagged pieces of garbage that pierced out the mountain. As Ruth approached the hill, she barely noticed a dilapidated sign that said, the only one who perseveres will make it to the top. Ruth's pace quickened, and on all fours she scrambled up the sharpened peak, with thoughts racing. I must get to the top. I will not stop. I will not be stopped by discarded waste. It only makes me quicken my pace. Through the cuts and bruises my strength will show, up the hill I must go. Sounds of squeezing, winces of trash bags wheezing, leg slips and scuttle, flesh and bone meet metal. Quick pace it turns into scramble. How much of this can she handle? Wrenching, clasping, clutching, slipping, turning, grasping. Get to the top, she must reach the peak. Resist the pain, Ruth. Remember, it's the truth you seek. Panting, Ruth slowly made her way to the top of the hill. The mountain will finally show her the cause of litter and the pollution in Litter Hill. Ruth glanced over the peak of the fog that slowly reveals the town. To her right, Ruth notices a man with a bag throwing things out of it. He was taking the filthy own from out of the bag and down Litter Hill. Ruth turned her gaze back towards the town, but to Ruth's shock, she could not see the buildings, the street, the sidewalk. Ruth whispered, "All I see is the people."